Oh, hi there, it's Kevin from WordVice, and today we are going to be completing our final video on the Common Application essay. Today we're going to discuss prompts 5, 6, and 7. So let's begin with prompt number 5, which asks you to discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself and others. You can now reflect on a realization in addition to an event or an occurrence. Keep in mind that an accomplishment or event is very open-ended, very open to interpretation. It can mean anything from a very formal event such as a celebration or a graduation ceremony, a birthday that took place in your past, to something more informal. So an incident might include something as making a new friend, seeing a favorite restaurant in town close, or perhaps noticing that your school doesn't have an up-to-date library. So sometimes these smaller, more everyday occurrences can be turned into something surprising that creates a more lasting memory. And keep in mind that on all of these essays, I've repeated this many times now, on all of these Common Application essays, it's how you focus on your personal growth more than the experience itself and those details that the admissions committees will be interested in. So here's some things to consider for brainstorming for essay number 5. How do you react to periods of change? What are your triggers of inspiration? Have you ever had a eureka moment? Something where you have suddenly realized that this is true about life or about your world. Some example scenarios might include starting a school newspaper that inspired you to become involved in local political issues. Whatever this event is, it doesn't have to be a profound event. You have to show profound growth in your own personal life. Prompt number 6 asks you to describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? And what or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? So this is one of the brand new prompts for the 2017-2018 year, and is perhaps the most exciting addition to the Common Application essay prompts, because it seems tailored to the inner nerd and those who love to tinker with problems and explore new solutions for things they're interested in. Your answers should reveal something to the adcoms about the scope and the depth of your interests. So in other responses, for example, prompt number 1, where you're talking about an interest, you might focus on a talent or something you've been heavily involved in. This prompt is more geared towards what's going on internally, something you might sit and read out of a book or study in a library for hours. And that is part of the prompt too. When the prompt asks you who or what do you turn to learn more, you can discuss what sources you use, how you gather information, and ultimately what you do with that information is important as well. So for example, if you're interested in studying economics, you might choose to discuss a concept about how far your exploration on this subject has gone. How many books on economics have you read? Are your friends always telling you you're a born expert in certain areas? Now this makes perfect sense for colleges, especially top-tier colleges, who want curiosity in their students, who want their students to have perspective that is always engaging with the world and trying to process and learn new information. Here are some questions you might ask yourself to brainstorm. What nerdy thing makes you happy? Do you have an appetite for knowledge about something very specific? This should be easy to answer if it's something you're truly passionate about. It can be a broad topic, for example, if you're very interested in animals. But it seems that the more specific, the more interesting. So if one applicant talks about how they love all animals, well, this is going to be very difficult to stand out in the minds of the adcoms because, well, most people love animals. But if you have a very specific interest in mice, let's say you've been breeding mice, you've been studying their habits, this shows that you have the mind of a scientist or an engineer. Exactly, this prompt is geared towards people with those inquisitive minds that want to learn more about the world. Ask yourself, how do you typically increase your knowledge when something appeals to you? Do you have a favorite corner of the library? Maybe you have a friend who is very interested in the same subject and you have conversations with that friend. So showing the avenues by which you increase your knowledge is a core of this prompt. By way of example, perhaps you are extremely interested in computer games and there's a certain kind of video game that has challenged your desire to create more complex worlds, increased your interest in coding. Another example might be if you're found in the library perusing the philosophy section, trying to figure out the core of Western thought. So it can be both technical or intellectual in nature. So whatever it is that excites you, that you are very passionate about, embrace it fully. So no matter how quirky your interest, showing what it means to you and why it's important, what lengths you go to discover more about it. If it's something that you write about with passion, it will inspire the admissions to want to learn more about the topic and about you as well. And finally, we come to prompt number 7. Share an essay on any topic of your choice. Freedom. This can be one that you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. So this prompt has been anticipated by applicants probably for the last 10 years because anybody wants to be told that they can write about whatever they want. So on one hand, whereas students have more freedom to express themselves and discuss what they're interested in than ever before, on the other hand, many might feel overwhelmed by this freedom, by the variety of routes they can take. So one way to provide some structure and help the brainstorming process is to think about a great question. To ask yourself that as an imaginary prompt. Ask yourself a question that the admissions committee or that a great mind might want to know. So here are some possible questions you might ask yourself. Consider your question an elevator pitch. If you had 3 minutes to be in a room alone with an admissions officer, what would you tell them about yourself? What are the most important core things? What would they find most interesting about you, about the way you think? And here are a few very specific questions you might respond to in your imaginary prompt analysis. Where and what do you see yourself being in 20 years? How is the best hour of your week spent? If there is one person in your life who has most impacted you, who is it? How did they touch your life and how have they changed you as a result? So some of the most successful essays that have been produced over the years in the Common Application and other college admissions essays are those that actually seem the most mundane to many people. For example, going to the supermarket with your grandmother every weekend. While that seems like not the most interesting topic, if you can show how she imparted profound wisdom on you that changed your Sunday afternoon, that Sunday has become a day full of excitement for you because of a result of this mundane experience, that is sort of the Common Application magic, changing something that is otherwise mundane into something that shows the admissions committees that you're really focusing on life and on these discrete experiences. One more approach that you can try is to free write to the other prompts of the Common App essay and see if anything interesting comes out. Try writing a diary for a few days, looking back at each entry and seeing if your content and ideas evolve and develop. See if you can find any patterns emerging. So now that we've looked in detail at every single Common Application essay prompt, we hope that you have some ideas for brainstorming and some ideas for approaching this essay. And remember, there are always tools at your disposal that you can use to both increase your writing skills and your chances of success on these admissions essays. You can find such tools, including tips, links, and editing services on our resources page at wordvice.com. So best of luck to you as you approach these Common Application essay prompts. Thank you and happy writing.